Okay, today we're gonna work through the idea of team archetypes. Before we get into what a team archetype is and where this is going, why are we having this video and why is working towards certain archetypes actually relatively important? It's just plain efficiency. Free-to-play player or even light spenders usually don't have the resources and the time to put in to build multiple teams at the same time, at least to the level where you can clear all the more difficult content. So this is, first of all, an efficiency thing. Second of all, if you're a new player or just started out, or the units that you currently own do not reflect any of the teams that I'm going to show you, try to focus on getting at least one team. And I'm going to tell you which team I think you should work towards most within the video. So just to get this out of the way. First and foremost, Impromptu. Why I show this team for the first one is because Impromptu is weirdly unintuitive in getting into it. It has the lowest entry ceiling out of all archetypes because it is a mechanic that does its job relatively well without having core units. But as you can see, I defined some of the core units, but you actually don't even need some of those units. You actually just need, for example, Barcola is highly replaceable with a character like Matilda. The difference in damage being like roughly 30%. So you have somebody that does the job, but it's just less damage. And why you can obviously say, oh yeah, but I have an ultimate team, and what if I use Centurion instead of Bricola? Okay, actually the reason why this is more forgiving in this case is because the main damage doesn't come from really the units themselves, but rather from the Impromptu mechanic. So have a look into like how Impromptu works. I'm not gonna really go into how those archetypes work as a rotation. You're gonna get into that anyway if you work towards it. Just overall, those are the core units. They're highly replaceable. In theory, you can replace a unit like Kiparina, for example, with 2 Fairy. So that's a nice one. You can, as I said, you can replace Barcola with a unit like Matilda, who is a free-to-play unit. Everybody owns Matilda, and she does very well. Impromptu, the idea is they do a lot of damage with a low entry level, but if you really want to max out the damage within the archetype, it takes a while. So generally speaking, how I would categorize Impromptu, it is a very high investment. It is easy to get into, but it has a very high investment ceiling to actually get damage comparable to the other archetypes. So I actually do not recommend people building an Impromptu team as their first team, but rather as a secondary team. The second archetype, and the strongest archetype currently in the game, is Bloodtithe. Bloodtithe gets extremely relevant with Nautica. Semmelweis already represents the archetype and does strong damage, but once Nautica's out, this whole team becomes really strong. You see also Sentinel, who is currently the newest unit in CN. She buffs the damage of this whole team even more. I would say this is currently the core Bloodtithe unit in CN for most content. Healer wise, you can take Fortutu, but you can also replace it with Ezra. The reason I don't have Ezra in there is because I use it for a different team that I'm gonna show you later. Well, it's gonna be the next team where Ezra is actually a core unit, not just an optional healer. Yeah, generally speaking, Bloodtithe, strongest archetype in the game. Investment wise, if you just stack resources on Nautica and keep the other ones at like P0, maybe an E2 into E3. I mean, everybody should have their units E3 anyway. It just takes a bit, but still. You don't need any dupes on the other characters. Just Nautica. Stack a lot of resources on Nautica, and this team is gonna be really strong. Yeah. So work towards Nautica. It's gonna be 2.8. It's gonna be the patch after the next one. So after Kiparina, it's gonna be Nautica, who is a must pull. Also, Sentinel is replaceable with somebody like Eternity. You can swap Eternity out for Sentinel once we hit 3.0. Array is a team that fell off hard in recent times because Lucy just lost a tiny bit of relevancy, but Lucy is getting her Euphoria, which makes her a top tier unit again, on par with Bloodtithe, but not fully on par. But the weird thing with top meta teams is any of the top meta teams clear whatever. Like, you do enough damage and you one-shot it like so hard, you overkill everything so hard that basically everything becomes irrelevant. But you want to get to that point, and Lucy gets to that point comparable to the other units with her Euphoria, which is going to happen 2.8. She's also going to have a rerun at that time, which is going to be really interesting. Looking forward to that. Yeah, Ulrich is another core unit in this team. Buffs a lot of damage, makes the array unit function. That's why he's a core unit. Yeah, and Ezra, as I said, is representing another team as a core unit, which is in array. The benefits your array team gets from having Ezra is significantly higher than if you swap, let's say, for 2/2 in Bloodtithe with Ezra. And the fourth spot is actually pretty competitive. You can use Mercuria, but there is like, what else? Like you can put in Flutter Page, or you can even put in like something goofy like Melania or Recoleta, which works completely fine. Just I like the extra damage amplification that she provides, and she kind of doesn't fit into any other team right now, at least with like high efficiency, so it's a good slot. I don't want to repeat units in different teams. Obviously you can switch things around, but I honestly prefer the idea that you have a character dedicated for a single team, at least in a general setting, because the hardest content that we have in the game is structured around having a free build teams. So yeah, you can't, it's better to think that way. And I personally think the easiest to get into archetype in the game is the ultimate team. If you have Recoleta, she's core. If you don't have her, don't bother with this team. There's gonna be a 3.0, there's gonna be in Getian Euphoria, which is gonna work as an ultimate team, but until then you need Recoleta as your core and Melania as a core as well, ideally, to get the most out of this team. Pickles is a really nice choice, just doesn't need a lot of action points, and Melania is really action point hungry, as well as Recoleta. And yeah, Medicine Pocket is just a really like top tier healer right now. Yeah, those are like the four main archetypes. Some people might wonder, where is Poison? Poison, as of right now, is considered non-meta. You can clear a lot of content with Poison. Strong, but just generally not enough. not comparable to the other archetypes. So what you would be looking forward to in a poison team obviously would be the Willow, the Sotheby, how's the Wisdom unit called? Let me check. Tuesday, like units like that, Argus, like they are represented in this archetype, but they're just not relevant right now. It's a bit underpowered. Poison as a whole doesn't ramp up enough. It doesn't even scale as strongly as the other teams do. So I do recommend only looking into those 4 archetypes. Other than that, that would be pretty much everything. The resources that I use to comprise this list of the teams, I'm gonna put into the description. Look into if you're interested. Great resources, trying to get my account up to the degree that I want it to look like through those resources. And yeah, obviously take everything with a grain of salt. If you have an archetype that you're playing that you really enjoy and you feel like you would burn out with another one, stick with that one. It's all about enjoyment. Yes, so enjoy your day.